Don in London, hello. May 27th, 2009. Where has May gone? My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addiction substance was alcohol. My behaviour could be anything which I could cross-addict to, namely work, workaholic, relationships, relationshipaholic, gymaholic, you name it. And I guess it was all about filling the gap inside, whatever was ailing me, making me fearful, putting on a brave face, and living on brittle ego, which could be cracked very easily. I was easily sensitive to what was going on around me, and I thought the world probably evolved or revolved around me. And of course that's a bit silly, and I don't know if I really thought that through, but you know what, I only had one purpose, and that was to be okay and look okay, how it might show up to other people, and I learned that along the way. How will it show up to others? And the simple answer is, if we live our lives by trying to show up for others in the way that they want us, we are never ever going to meet their needs or our own, because we don't have an identity. So the gift for me really in recovery is to find my identity simply on a daily basis and learn how to live without resorting back to alcohol or behaviour which is unhelpful, that is repetitive behaviour which becomes an addiction. So there is a middle ground between doing nothing and being all in, I guess. If we're all in and are single-minded, we don't have anything coming back at us which we can absorb. And the difficulty is, when we get into addiction, all we need to do is satisfy and process those addictive qualities to substance or behaviour, and then we wonder why we don't feel quite right, and that's simply because we haven't got a breadth of vision which would help us. So these days I learn how to get vision from other people and how to live well by learning wisdom as I go. So, into my 50s, learning wisdom as I go, and I hope it's the same every single day from now on. And really, routine, self-maintenance around having a program which helps us see the world as it is, realistically, what is reality, and then trying not to put any more filters in the way, like a substance or behaviour. So if I go to the gym and do 30 days in a row and work out, I don't, by the way, I've stopped doing that, I can't do it, but I would actually start to focus singularly on that particular activity. And human beings thrive on diversity and difference, and that doesn't mean that we are prejudiced against diversity and difference. We learn what is right for us. And I went to a good meeting last night of Alcoholics Anonymous, the fellowship that helps me do the rest of my life. So I lean on fellowship rather than people, and there's nobody in AA bigger or smaller than me. We all have our outlook, unique or authentic. So we go into meetings that way and come out with a bit more wisdom maybe on how to make life work, or hear something which is really useful. On the other hand, we might hear something which is absolutely useless to us because we're not in the same place as that person. So we have to still use our common sense, our good conscience, and hope that we're on the right path. And if we make mistakes, we're merely making progress, not to perfection, but to understand how life can be just in one day. So that's not easy. And if it hadn't been for AA, I wouldn't have been alive long enough to get type 1 diabetes, which is not actually part of my lifestyle. It's not impacted by my lifestyle in the past. I just got it type 1 out of the blue, and it's not that rare these days, apparently. And at the same time as that, I got help understanding that I do have clinical depression. So the gift is, I got sober, I've got some other ailments to deal with. So triumvirate, if you like, of three things to be aware of on a daily basis: how to be sober, how to keep on track with type 1 diabetes, and how to deal with clinical depression, especially when I go into the pit, that desolate place in the darkness. And I had 3 or 4 months of that at the beginning of the year, simply because I needed to change medications to do with diabetes and make sure they weren't contraindicated. So now I'm back in a fairly stable position where life is happening normally, and that's extraordinary. Anyway, my videos, recovery, sharing stuff that's in the fellowship of AA. I don't speak for it, never will, and I cannot speak for other people in fellowship simply because they have their own voice if they choose to use it. And also, people need to know that their anonymity is sacrosanct. Anonymity is the sanctuary which enables us to find the truth of ourselves in the fellowship, and then be authentic and unique people in daily life. That's what it's about for me. So AA, the preamble which is shared at every meeting, slows me into the moment and goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So it has no outside interests. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And the program or the fellowship is around 12 steps, which is there, and 12 traditions. And the 12 steps is about attitude and behavioural change for individuals. So there are 12 steps to learn about, and then to put them into practice. And then there are 12 traditions which hold the fellowship together. And 12 steps are about open, honest and willing to endeavour in life. And the traditions about unity, service and recovery. So fellowship meetings are the foundation mostly of most people's recovery. And doing the steps helps this. But it's a personal choice. And one of the things I heard last night in the meeting, which was really, really important, the person started by saying, well, some parts of the literature I don't get on with, namely the big book, and he's not the only one. But at the same time, I know that a lot of people get a lot of help from just reading that big blue book, the AA book, which I have here. Ta-da! And the AA big book is quite thick, but it was called a big book because it was made out of rag paper to start with, and it was very thick, and it's still thick. It's got over 500 pages, but we don't have to read it all at once, and that's like the steps and everything. We learn to go at our own pace, so people are unique, learning in the place where they are now, and the one thing we can say in common is, for today, this is how we can keep in recovery, and that is what it's all about. 24 hours or less, we can start again and make as many mistakes as we need, hopefully with the guidance of a program which keeps us open, honest and willing. And Daily Reflections, this book which I share here, has a reading for today, which is No Maudlin Guilt. Day by day we try to move a little toward God's perfection, or good conscience, or whatever it is that you see as a power in your life which gives you wisdom. So we need not be consumed by maudlin guilt. When I first discovered there is not a single don't in the 12 steps of AA, I was disturbed because this discovery swung open a giant portal, only when I was able to realise what AA is for me. And it goes on to say, AA is not a program of don'ts but do's. AA is not martial law, it is freedom. AA is not tears over defects, but sweat over fixing them. AA is not penitence, it is salvation. AA is not woe to me for my sins past and present. AA is, praise God, good conscience or your higher power, for progress I am making today. And that's the simple gift. We just make progress and we're not perfect. And step 5, May, is all about sharing our fearless moral inventory, which is step 4, with another person and to our good conscience or God. And the gift, really, I can't go into the reading as Bill sees it on this video, there's not enough time. But the gift is this: if we are able to face the worst fear of what we might be found out for and share it with another human being who we trust. So, often if we actually ask ourselves, what is the worst thing somebody could know about me from my past? And share it, we find that it's not unusual, that there is a word for it, and multi-millions have done it before. So we learn gradually how to be. So the Serenity Prayer at every meeting, and also I chant it in the mornings myself when I'm not quite sure where I am. It goes like this, and it's to God or good conscience or your higher power. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, all in one day hopefully, and we make progress and we're never perfect. That is not the aim, it's to live for today.